As the cost of living increases, we're starting to see toy companies take different approaches to keep their customers buying product while also mitigating risk. Mondo has started doing week-long pre-order windows for their goods instead of 24-hour timed editions, which means you actually have time to get your finances sorted and to make an informed decision, rather than panic buying something just because you might miss out. And panic buying something that you may or may not be actually able to financially commit to. Funko is now doing 1-inch versions of their Funko Vinyl Pops, which are much easier on your shelf space and on your wallet. Meanwhile, Hasbro keeps raising their prices and locking pre-order opportunities for hot new products behind a paid membership. And I mean, just over the course of 2021, we Canadians saw the price of Marvel Legends go from $29.99 to $35.99 in just 1 year. I get it. Everything's becoming more expensive. But unless you make the experience around pre-ordering these things, or even just buying these things, easier for the customer, customers are going to start dropping out. And as the cost of living increases, it's getting harder and harder to support smaller businesses. When you're a big company like Walmart or Amazon or Costco selling mass-produced goods, you might start to see the size of the goods go down for the price you pay, or even the quality of goods for the price you pay go down. You go to the store, you buy a box of Cheerios, and either there's fewer Cheerios in the box than you remember, the quality of the Cheerios is less than you remember, or a little bit of both. Actually, as I'm saying this, hold on, give me a second. I bought this box of cereal for my pregnant wife because she's really been into cereal lately, but I haven't had it in years. The red berry title would lead you to believe that this thing is full of freeze-dried strawberries, but it's not. The first bowl I poured, fine, good number of strawberries. But I've poured 3 bowls since then. No strawberries, nothing. There are no strawberries in this box. First bowl was great. From there, downhill. Kinda like turning 25. So you can start to see where some of these companies kind of cut corners to keep costs where they are. But what happens when there is a precedent that prevents you from decreasing the quality or the size volume of that good? So I live in a city that is pretty much known for its number of small businesses. Town takes a lot of pride in the number of small businesses that we have here. And most of these businesses have felt squeezed by the pandemic and by just the general economic state of the world. To give you an example, there's a local business that sells these handcrafted bowls, which are awesome. I love them very much. They're dishwasher safe, they're microwave safe, I think. But they're very pretty and they're very practical. And alongside these bowls, there's a whole set of pitchers, plates. There's a whole set. And so if you want just the bowls, or just the pitchers, just the cups, you can get them. Or you can go for the whole set. But the person that makes these has set a precedent that you know what you're getting into if you're purchasing this. And a lot of people are purchasing these from my local business. Enough so such that if the quality started to go down, or the size started to go down on these things, people would notice and people would be very upset about it. And so amid a challenging landscape where costs just keep going up, unfortunately for situations like this, the only real place to go is for the prices to go up as well. Now you may laugh when I refer to Super7 as a small business, but first of all, small is a relative term, okay? They have maybe a couple hundred employees based on what I can find. Compared to like the $11 billion companies like Mattel and Hasbro, Super7 is a small business. And customers of Super7 are starting to see that the Ultimates figures are no longer coming in a brown shipping box or with the protective sleeve. In a recent interview, Brian Flynn explained this decision by telling us that while those elements add to the unboxing of those figures, they ultimately don't add enough value to the product as it sits on your shelf to keep in the face of rising costs. And so instead of raising the price of the figures by a few dollars, they opted to remove the brown box and the sleeve. Another way that toy companies can sort of increase their profits amid rising costs is to incentivize buying direct through them rather than through a retail partner like Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth, who offer the benefit of charging your credit card once the item is ready to ship, rather than when the order is being placed. Now, if Super7 sells you an Ultimate for $55, they get all of that $55. But if you buy an Ultimates figure from Big Bad Toy Store, for example, you're probably putting maybe $40 to $43 into Super7's pocket based on like a 25% profit margin assumption. And if you look at the Cats layer, just for a rough example of how many units they're selling of these figures, we can go with a number of 4,200. So that $12 difference across 4,200 figures amounts to somewhere in the area of $50,000. And that's $50,000 per figure, where there are normally 4 figures in a wave. Now this is some quick, flawed, back-of-the-napkin math, but it should be enough to sort of show why companies will try to incentivize customers buying direct through them. Now, Hasbro has gone the route of offering a paid membership that gets you first shot at convention exclusives and, you know, a 1-hour window at pre-ordering their new products. And I can see this working with something like Amazon Prime, where you can get your housing essentials and your staples through Amazon. But for something as optional as toys, I don't really see this model lasting that much longer for Hasbro. At least not in its current state. You know, they might make it more attractive by offering more benefits down the road. Super7 has attempted to drive customers to order direct through them by offering super packs, which are accessory packs that you get for free when you order an entire wave of Ultimates directly through Super7.com. We saw these super packs first with G.I. Joe Wave 4 and Conan Ultimates Wave 5, where these packs included either more of the accessories that you were already getting with the figure, or repaints of the accessories that you were getting with the figures. If you wanted an additional set of gear for your Joes, or a set of bloody weapons for your Conan figures, then the super pack would offer you that. And if you didn't want those extra pieces, then you could skip the super pack feeling like you weren't really missing out on much. And then we got to ThunderCats Wave 9, which had 2 major issues. The first issue, which has since been addressed by Brian Flynn, is that the wave was split 50-50 between toy versions of the characters and cartoon versions of the characters. If you only cared about the toy versions and not the cartoon versions, or vice versa, then you had to buy those extra 2 characters that you didn't care about in order to get the super pack to get those accessories. But that's not so bad, because the super pack only includes repaints or more versions of those accessories that we're already getting, right? Right? As it turns out, this super pack would include unique molds that were not already pre-packed in the figures that people were getting. And from the comments that I was seeing, those customers who only wanted the toy versions or only wanted the cartoon versions felt like they were being cheated out of a complete figure by not ordering more than they wanted. Since then, Brian has gone on to say that he doesn't want to split a wave down the middle anymore between toy and cartoon versions when there's a super pack involved, implying that this is a lesson that has been learned with ThunderCats Wave 9. But we're still running into the issue of unique pieces being offered in a pack that could potentially force people to buy an extra figure that they don't particularly want just to get all of the pieces for a figure that they do want. If you want Space Godzilla but not Mogera, and you want the Corona Beam, then you're gonna have to buy that Mogera. And if you can't get that Mogera, then it feels like you're being sold an incomplete figure. And I am entirely sympathetic to that perspective. I've said before that I don't really care for beam effects myself, and that the Heat Ray version of Godzilla, you know, made sense for a version to have that beam instead of the base version. But for instances like Space Godzilla or Mogera, where a beam makes sense to pack into the figure, I can understand why it feels like people are being cheated, despite the intentions that Super7 has. What I wanted to do today was to work through and propose a solution to the Super Pack situation that addresses Super7's need to kind of direct people more to them, while also addressing the needs that customers are having with the way it's currently being handled. It's a fine line to walk. You know, if I lean too much into what the customer wants, then it's not a practical solution that the business can afford to use. If I lean too much into what the business can do, then, you know, I'm a company shill, apparently. Let's get it right. I'm not a Super7 shill, I'm a Super7 simp. There's a difference, sweetheart. Maybe you should look it up. Now let's just get the big question out of the way. Why aren't these beams packed in with the figures? We've already heard from Kyle that the beams are large enough and cost enough money that they can't really be included into the initial base offering just due to cost. You can agree with that, you can disagree with that. I'm not a manufacturing expert, I have no idea, but that's what we've been told, and that's the assumption that I'm going to work with for the rest of this video. There are 4 core issues with the Super Pack that need to be addressed by a solution, and they are as follows. The pack contains unique pieces that are not part of the base offering. You may have to purchase figures that you don't want in order to get the pieces that you do want. We do not know what happens to the super packs if they fail to meet the minimum order quantity, and customers are, in general, waiting these days for products to be in stock and see them in hand before they commit to a purchase. Let's talk about the unique pieces first. If super packs continue, I do think that unique pieces are the right route to go, at least in the sense of the Toho line. Of the 8 mainline releases that we've gotten so far, there aren't many instances I can see where repaints of existing accessories in the pack make the most sense. More Destoroyah crabs or more Space Godzilla crystals do kind of make sense, I guess. But I don't need more Biollante tentacles or more Burning Godzilla smoke effects when I can't attach more of them to the base figure than I already have. Battle damaged heads might have made sense, to be honest, but I do think that people would care more about beam effects than battle damaged heads, and at the end of the day, you have to sell the super packs by selling things that people actually want, and I do think that the beam effects would be a larger sell. I could be wrong, and I'm sure that someone will tell me in the comments if they would prefer battle damage over beam effects. The second point, purchasing figures that you don't want in order to get the pieces that you do want. I've already used the example of Mogera and Space Godzilla, but we've also seen with the Heat Ray Godzilla, and we've seen this precedent, that you will have to buy an entire figure just to get a piece that some feel should have been included with the main release. Putting aside my own feelings about the Heat Ray stuff and whatever Super7's intention is with the super packs, I completely understand the frustration that folks have feeling like they have to buy an entire $85 figure just for a piece. And I do think that a solution needs to address that sense of frustration. The third point, minimum order quantity. Now, to give credit where credit is due, this point was raised by Steven during his Super7 critique, and I think that it's a point that needs to be unboxed a little bit more. It is entirely possible that an Ultimates figure gets enough orders through retail partners to warrant getting produced, but not enough orders directly from Super7 to get the associated super pack produced. The super packs are being funded and made from those extra margins that Super7 gets when customers order direct. But if in a situation where the vast majority of sales are through retail partners, then there may not actually be enough of those margins to get those pieces made. And if we aren't getting beam effects on their own through these super packs, I am almost entirely sure that the next viable option is going to be a completely new release, a new $85 figure with a beam effect. And we already know people don't like that. Therefore, a solution to the super pack situation would need to ensure that enough funds are there to get the super packs actually made. Or at least the pieces in the super packs to get made. The final point is that customers across the board are waiting for items to be in stock prior to purchasing them for a variety of reasons. It could be money's tight, it could be literal scam artists, or it could be instances where renders don't match the final product. And this is an issue for the super packs because you have to put the money up front during that initial pre-order window 16 months before you even get to see what the product's going to look like. And in our current economic situation, people are just simply not okay with that. That's what makes options like Big Bad Toy Store so attractive to customers, is that you can place your order, but if for whatever reason, it could be personal, it could be the product, for any reason, if you want to cancel your order, you can do so. Now, I personally feel as though American retailers are not going to be able to sustain this model for very much longer. Outside of Amazon Canada, this isn't even an option. A zero down pre-order on items in Canada. You just can't do that anymore. And with something as turbulent as the toy collecting hobby is getting, I just don't see it lasting that much longer in American retailers. But for the purposes of this video, I will assume that Big Bad Toy Store will continue on the way that they're going so that we can actually come up with an idea. Therefore, a solution to this super pack situation would need to allow customers to cancel their orders for whatever reason, just to provide that security. With all of this in mind, this is my personal opinion for how Super7 super packs should continue. Continue making the super packs free for direct customers, but offer a paid version through your retail partners. Instead of buying an additional figure to get the pieces you want, you now have to fork over an extra maybe $10, I'm guessing, to get the beam effects that you do want. And while these unique pieces aren't being included in the base offering, they're now no longer locked behind a 30-day exclusive pre-order window. By offering it to retail partners, you increase the odds that there will be enough sales to warrant the molds getting made. Plus, you provide options to international customers like me who would get absolutely destroyed by shipping and import charges for ordering these items direct from Super7. And finally, partners like Big Bad Toy Store would allow customers to cancel their items if financial hardship comes up, or if the final items just don't match what the customers were expecting. A side effect, and another potential benefit I feel, is that this method also puts a number value to the bonus that you're actually getting by ordering direct from Super7. I think we've all seen the meme about how I'd rather pay $30 and free shipping than $25 plus $5 shipping. And I do tend to believe that customers seeing that they're getting a $10 value for free just by ordering direct would increase the chances that customers actually do buy direct. For those who wanted these beams to be part of the $85 pack-in, I don't think that there was any chance of me coming up with a practical solution that you would have been satisfied with, given the assumptions that I'm working with, of course. But with all of that being said, I do think that offering the Super Pack through retail partners is the best means of helping keep Super7's overall prices not down, but from increasing quickly, while also providing customers with options that don't strong arm them into making decisions. So I would love to see it. But what do you think? Let me know down below how offering super packs through retail partners might affect your purchasing decisions with Super7. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.